You're watching Fairfield Public Access TV. I'm Connie Boyer, and today's guests are Dave Reiff, president of Rotary Club here in Fairfield, and Cansin. See, I knew I'd mess it up. Got the first name right, though. And she is the exchange student from Turkey. And we're going to learn about her today. She's been here about 8 months and going to be going home in about a month or 5 or 6 weeks.
5 weeks.
Okay, good. So we're going to start out talking to Dave Reiff just briefly. And Dave, if you could give us a little history of Rotary, how it got started, and maybe how the Fairfield chapter got started.
Sure. Rotary International is going to celebrate its 100th birthday next year in 2005. So we're already preparing for the annual, the International Convention in Chicago. That is actually the world home of Rotary. And it's a service club. One of the main programs it has run for many decades is the Foreign Youth Exchange, where kids from all over the world travel to a country other than their own to learn the customs and habits of whatever country they're visiting. It may not be the largest, but it's certainly the oldest, I believe, but a very successful youth exchange program. The other prominent thing that you might have seen about Rotary in the last few years, they went on one of the largest endeavors ever to raise millions to eradicate polio, the disease that the United States eradicated, golly, 40 years ago probably. Some of us just barely remember when we had to have the polio, the Salk vaccine, the oral. And now no one really talks much about it, but there's still about 3 countries in the world where it's a very ravaging childhood disease. And so Rotary set upon the task of helping rid the world of this disease, and has raised to this date like $600 million at least. There's 1.25 million Rotarians around the world in something like 31,000 clubs, just like ours in Fairfield. Fairfield got its start in 1920 when a Dr. Clark, I think medical doctor, organized a chapter and became its first president. And so we're going to celebrate 85 years, almost as old as the parent organization, but we came along 15 years later.
How many members does Fairfield have?
Currently we're about 77. That's grown since I've been involved. I'm a 2-decade member, and it was 40 to 50 before, so we're kind of in a bit of a growth spurt right now.
And what are the programs that Fairfield is involved in?
Actually several programs that will run year-round. Probably the most visible in the community is our Christmas parade. Christmas Eve we do a Santa parade around the square and across town, including visiting the hospital, and it's just a time-honored tradition that we've run for perhaps 75 of those 85 years. And the original parade, we're told, was run with a team of horses and a sleigh. So it's our thought to perhaps recreate the first one, or the way it started.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Now, and there were a few years where there was a break, where there wasn't a parade, right? Was that during World War II or another time?
Yeah, no, they speak of a year or two during, I believe it was Second World War, where there was no Rotary parade, but otherwise it's been continuous and something the community seems to enjoy. Certainly the looks on the little kids' faces is worth a lot.
Well, it's such a great tradition, and growing up here, all of us that grew up here have such warm memories of being with family that night, but you have to take a break to go uptown, so it certainly is a great program. Also, the Rotary gives scholarships each year.
Yes. We're up to I think we just went to 3 a year for applicants that are right now being considered, I'm sure, for this year. We fund $1,000 each for local students, and that's been very a nice way to help youth of the community. We have a large fundraiser in the fall that works. The last few years, the beneficiaries have been the Lord's Cupboard food effort, and also the Family Crisis Center over at Ottumwa has been a recipient the last few years. And so we're very happy to support and help both of those groups.
And we just finished an auction that supported several groups. You want to tell us about those?
Yes, if at risk of getting this messed up, our own scholarship fund was replenished, as well as the youth soccer effort. There's a new youth football group being formed, and swim club. So 3 youth groups that need funding, needed help with their programs. So it may be too much sports theme for some, but we'll rotate back next year and find new worthy recipients of this. But that's kind of what Rotary does, is try to figure out who needs help. Around the world, it's helping people less fortunate get things that they wouldn't have otherwise.
And the ticket booth at the high school was purchased by the Rotary funds, right?
Actually, yes. Separate fundraiser. That was our kickoff centennial plan. Rotary, being 100 years old, was told or asked to find something in the community to raise the visibility of Rotary, what we do, who we are. And when we found a local need at a high school, at the high school stadium, Trojan Stadium, the ticket booth was worn out and needed rebuilt or refurbished, and the new activities director, Brad Rose, worked with us in formulating a plan that would get a brand new ticket booth. And you'll notice when you go to see your kids or grandkids at FHS Stadium that there's a very nice plaque that commemorates the 100-year anniversary of Rotary right here at the stadium.
Great. I'm sure that the high school was really appreciative of the group doing that.
Sure.
So let's turn to the exchange program a little bit. And Dave, does the club pay for an exchange person to come here? Do they help support them financially? What are the rules? And maybe Johnson can share too how that happens.
Do you want to brief us on how you got here?
Yeah. Where should I start? Should I start?
Well, how did you find out about the program?
Actually, I was thinking about doing kind of an exchange program in my life, but the first time that I found about Rotary, I think I know some friends, some Rotary exchange students in Ankara in Turkey, and I think the title Rotary starts like that. I don't exactly remember how it became that fast and I'm still here. I really don't remember the whole procedure, but it was because I have friends, and then I asked them, and then I can communicate with them because I know English and French, and it was pretty much because of that. And then I come here.
So do you have to pay your own way to come here?
The only thing you have to pay is just the tickets, actually.
Your plane ticket?
Yeah, the plane tickets. And the Rotary clubs in the world give from $55 to $75 per month to exchange students. Each club gives all the exchange students money like that. And then...
Does that money come from a Rotary club in Turkey or in Fairfield?
In Fairfield.
In Fairfield.
Each club, because I am sponsored by a Turkish club, but You Are My Hosting Club, isn't
Yes.
it, the title? So the hosting club hosts you in all the sense. They just, and then there are rules. There are so many rules, but the most important ones, there are like rules of 4Ds, and then drinking, driving, dating, and that. Well, I don't remember. I was a good exchange student.
So you can't drive when you're
No,
here.
you can't drive, you can't drink, you
can't
cannot
drink.
use any drugs, or you cannot. Actually, dating is like not serious relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one in Turkey that they told us dialing because of the telephone bills and things, but basically it's 4D.
Don't call home unless you have permission.
No, the problem is we have the same problem at the exchange student in Turkey call a little bit so much. So we had that problem, and it's because of that. Unless if you have a telephone card or something, it's not a big deal.
So why did you want to come to the United States versus another country?
Actually, I'm graduate from a French school, and I wanted to go to Canada. And then my first choice was Canada, and everything was planning for Canada. And then I came, when the first application forms come, I really didn't, I was just, Mom, is there a state called Iowa in Canada? Because I really didn't know anything about it, seriously. And then I found in Fairfield that it's not that easy to change everything, in your life, and then go somewhere that you didn't even know the name before. But I'm just like, I think this is the best place for me to just be an exchange, because, okay, everyone thinks that when you come in to be an exchange student, well, America, everyone thinks that it's like an American Pie movies, like 24/7 parties and it's not. I mean, being an exchange student, everyone always told in the orientation camps, you're gonna have that much fun, you're gonna be like this, like that. It's not it. I mean, I did have fun in Turkey so much. This year was the perfect thing to be an exchange student, because I learned a lot about myself.
And you graduated from high school
Yes.
last year, so this is
Yes.
actually an extra year for high school.
This is actually a pause in my life. This is a perfect time for, I don't have any problem to, because there are some students being exchange student in their junior year or senior year, so they try to make up their classes. I'm graduated from high school, I'm in college in Turkey, so this is like a pause in my life, just understand who am I, what am I doing. And I pretty much did it, I think.
So what things did you learn about yourself here?
I'm alone. That's it. I mean, it doesn't work all the time. Just call your dad and Dad, just give me a ride. It won't work in all my life. That's what it's just a little fun that we were talking with my dad, but I learned how to do everything by myself. I'm not alone. I'm not totally alone. There's a club hosting me. There are host families, but it's a different situation. It was first time in my life that I was just like, well, okay, Johnson, you're adults. You have to decide, because seriously, you have to decide what you're doing, because sometimes there's no one that you can ask. I was living in a little family maybe, but it was a big family if you want to. So I can call whoever I want to call. But over here, I just like a big breath and then, okay, I can do this or I can't do that. And responsibility, I don't know, I learned a lot. I can understand it for myself too. And just like calm down a little bit. I probably much more matured, but it's a good year. I'll always remember that. I'm pretty much sure about it. I'm definitely sure about it. I'll remember it.
So you've stayed with 3 families. You're on your 3rd family now.
Yes.
So you want to tell us who you stayed with?
I stayed with Sue, Jerry, Erin, Abby Long, Julie, Natalie, Ben, Greg Henshaw, and then now I'm with Linda and Karen Stallone. So
Having fun, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm sure. And all really great people here in Fairfield. I know them all. What are some of the things that you're studying in high school here?
In Fairfield?
In Fairfield.
Actually, I wanted to study about language, because I'm living here, so my English needed to be better. So I just composition, American Lit, English, and I take some art classes and digital photography, computer classes,
And observing you over these months, don't you think, Dave, her English has gotten much better?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, from just that practical use and being here.
We're better listeners, maybe.
Maybe that's it.
But you spoken English, I assume you had it starting in what, grade school? Or?
I was in elementary school
Elementary.
when I started. And then I moved to a French school, so...
So you know French also?
Yeah. Yes.
Which
Okay.
is easier to learn? French?
French?
Or
No.
English?
No way. English is much more easy. Maybe I started English when I was little, that might be that too,
Okay.
but that's what I know, that French is not easy to learn, but it's good to speak.
Yeah. It's a very pretty language.
It's so cool.
So when you go back to Turkey, you're going to start college in the fall. And tell us about what you want to study and what you want to do.
I moved to Istanbul. It was like my dream city, so I'm glad that I moved there. And then I'll go to University of Mimar Sinan in Fine Arts College in Cinema and Post-Production School, which is basically teach you edit films and like cinematography. Actually, the first 2 years, the general classes, and then you either choose scenario, script writing, editing, or post-production or directing. It's just...
So how do you see yourself in 10 years in the film industry? What do you want to be doing?
Actually, I don't know. I mean, because before I come here, it was just like, I do this, I do that, I will do that, I will do this. Like, everything was plain. And over here, I learned that too. That's one of the things that I learned. You can plan whatever you want to plan, but it's not that easy that it works. Just sometimes it's better to just let it be, just watch. I don't know. I definitely want to be in cinema sector, that's for sure, because I love it. I always loved it. Now, I'm just waiting a little bit after college. Something will happen. I mean, it has to.
So you are going to move to Istanbul from where?
Ankara, from
okay.
the capital.
And now how far are we talking away from each other? And tell us about those cities.
Okay, I was born in Ankara in 1985. I always lived in Ankara, which is about 4 million population city. And I always said, I'm living in a small city. I don't like this city. This is too small. Then be an exchange student, come to Fairfield, Iowa, 10,000. And well, actually, it wasn't that at all. Actually, it was quite a big city. And then I always loved Istanbul. Like, it was always my dream city. Like, I'm gonna live there. I'm gonna live there. Istanbul is the biggest and the best city in Turkey, maybe in the world. If you ask me, it's the best city in the world. And then it's about 5-6 hours. And what is Washington, D.C. in America? Like, Ankara is like that. Everything is governmental, the roads, and, you know. And what is New York, the biggest city, the fancy city? It's pretty much like that. Ankara is head of the country, but Istanbul is the heart of the country. And I think I'm done enough with the head. I just want to go through the hard part.
Well, that's an interesting analogy. I think that's very interesting. So if Dave and I and whoever wants to travel to Turkey and go to Istanbul, where are you going to take us if we come to see you?
Everywhere.
What are some main attractions that are must-sees?
In Istanbul?
Yeah.
I think Bosphorus.
Now, what's that?
Okay. Bosphorus, what is Bosphorus? I don't know how to tell it. Okay, there are 3 seas around Turkey. North, there is Black Sea, and east coast, there is Aegean Sea, and then south coast, there is Mediterranean Sea. And there's an intern sea we call Marmara Sea. And then Bosphorus and Dardanelles are the canals, if you want to, but they are 100% natural. Then from Black Sea through Bosphorus to Marmara Sea, and then you go through Dardanelles and you go to Aegean Sea. So it's just 2 canals, and which separate the city, which divided city to 2. One part of the city is the European side, and the other part is the Anatolian or Asian Minor side that we called. And I think this is the only country, and this is the only city in the world which is divided by a sea, first of all, and which is divided by a sea to 2 continents. When you pass through the bridge, we have 2 bridges on the Bosphorus, which the canal, if you want to, and you say welcome to Europe, and the other part you say welcome to Asia, because it's the official borders of Asia and Europe.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Dave?
My geography is lacking.
So,
But that's why we're here, to learn from each other.
That's right. That's very interesting.
and then
I didn't know
that's where I was at. I mean, everything cannot be that bad, because you can still go to Bosphorus and sit and look at the sea and say, I'm still alive. I'm still can see this thing. That's why everyone in this world needs to see Bosphorus. If you want to see Ankara, I'm going to tell you, you don't have to. You don't have to come over there. You can just read it on Ansiklopedi, but you have to see Istanbul. That's what I think. And then you should probably see Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, which is a great building. It used to be a church. Now they, after the Turkish Empire, Ottoman Empire, they changed it as a mosque, and now this is a great museum, which is kind of different, that you see the Jesus icons and then Islamic icons together in the same holy building. So I think it's a good place.
Are those the two main religions in Turkey?
Actually, Turkey is 98% a Muslim country, but there is a Jewish community, Christian community, but Turkey is the only secular and democratic Islam country. I cannot say Islam country with the population that Muslim country if you want to. But I mean, I didn't have any problem with religion in my life, because my family teach me that it's between you and him or her. It's not. And then of course there are some kind of different cultural things, but I always say that Turkish culture is a mosaic. So you cannot separate them like these are the Muslims, these are the Jews, these are the Christians. So it's 98% Muslim, but it has everything in it. Like if you look at my heritage, I got Georgian, the Russian Georgian, from Christian Arabs, from Crete Island, like all over the world. But I say that I am 100% Turkish, because there is no more pure nationality in this world. So.
So how do you think Turkey differs from maybe some of the other countries in that area? In that way, in religion, in the culture?
Yeah, like I cannot say Turkey is like European country. I cannot say Turkey is a Middle East country. It's just with the geographical, political, in every sense, it's like a bridge. Because between Christian world and Muslim world, between Europe world and Asia world, between, I don't know, like secular world and then the religion basis world, because Turkish republic is actually so new republic. It's just 80 years old republic, which is, when you compare with the other republics and with the other countries, it's a new young country, but it's a so old nation. It's just after a religion basis empire for 600 years long, and just after that they build a secular democracy. So, and I cannot find any other example in the whole area like that. Yeah, we're 98% Muslim, but we're secular. But we're secular, but we're not in Europe, like in the center of Europe. So before I come here, I was just like, we look like this country, we look like that country. No, we not look like any other countries, because we are really weird. Seriously, I mean, I can say that because I can't compare with any other countries. I mean,
well, it sounds wonderful.
It sounds good.
You know, I have to say, even though there's all this turmoil going in Iraq, which is close to the country, some of the pictures that you see and some of the pictures that you see in Turkey, the buildings, the culture that's there, from my perspective, I would love to say things settle down so that we can go and travel. And now it's easy to travel probably in Turkey, but in that area for the world to be able to go and travel and see some of this culture and the history in some of these places. I mean, I think the world looks forward to being able to do that.
Yeah.
How does your country feel about what's been happening in the Middle East? The Americans, you know, and going into Iraq. Is there a sense of how they feel about it? I mean, do you have a sense?
Like, of course, personal ideas and general ideas are different, but most of the people didn't want war, because while the first Gulf War, Turkey, the influence of the first Gulf War was really, really bad for Turkey, in an economical sense, in a social sense, plus in a special sense of Turkey, because while the first Gulf War, from the Iraq borders, many of the terrorists get into Turkey, and which create a major terrorism problem in Turkey. Especially in the early 90s, there was a big problem. And then Turkish army tried to eliminate this problem, but about 30,000 innocent people, civils, has died. And while that little attacks, like little things going over the southeastern Turkey. So basically the people didn't want it because of that, because war is like an open door for all the illegal things, and you know, you understand what I mean. Just like, it was because of the first Gulf War's influences. And then, and the other thing, like, I think so, the people didn't want war around us, because it's already so hot place. Like Middle East, you know, what's going on now with Israel and Palestine, and plus this Gulf, Basra and then Iraq war. It's not a good situation for Turkey, because it's our backyard.
Yeah.
It's just everything going on over there influences directly Turkey. Directly, everything. Like about tourism, about economics, about social things going on in the...
It makes people maybe more afraid to come to Turkey.
Yeah, that's
Americans or Europeans or whoever. So I can see where it affects you economically.
I mean, America is in a war, but it's so far away. Maybe you have the psychological influences, but the countries around Iraq has probably much more, has the physical conditions. Because like the exchange program, if you want to, Japan sends every year, Japan and Turkey has an exchange program every year. But because of the war, they don't want to do it this year, which is a kind of problem with the program. I mean, you understand?
Yeah. And since you've been here, I mean, there was that one week where there were a couple major bombs in Istanbul, correct? Which I remember when it was happening, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of the Rotarians that know you were really feeling, on a heart level, you know, really challenged by that, and worrying about how you were feeling, and probably worrying about family and all those kinds of things. So,
it was my worst time.
Yeah.
It was my worst time in America, seriously. Like, it was the worst time being an exchange student, because I thought I had a friend over there. I had a so special and important friend over there, and I couldn't find him. I was just like, he's dead. I mean, and this is the first time in my life that, like, I can't communicate with whoever I want to.
Yes.
It was hard, because it was just like, okay, if you can't find them, you can't. That's it. And then it was that moment. Then I usually hate when you call people, they say, just call me in 5 minutes. I hate that sentence, but it was like the best call me in 5 minutes sentence in my whole life. That was like, oh my God, he's alive. And I just started crying that day. It was probably the only time that I cried.
Well, let's talk about a happy subject now.
Yeah.
Tell us about your family.
Okay, my parents, okay. I live with my mom. My parents are my mom and dad were divorced when I was 3. I live with my mom mostly, and then my mom is an assistant in a private company, and my dad is a former National Assembly member, was a former parliament. And then he's retired right now.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have a stepbrother living, a stepsister living in Maryland, in U.S.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you seen her?
Not yet.
Not since you've been here.
I've seen her. I came to America to see her like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So this isn't your first trip?
Nope.
Okay. So tell us about the food. What kind of food do you like to eat here? What's your favorite?
I don't want to talk about it. I really don't want to talk about it. 20 pounds, it's not something normal. No, this is a really important, like, if I'm going to see an exchange student who's going to be an exchange student in America, I'm just going to say, be careful about eating. Do not eat junk, because in Turkey...
Eat too much fat food.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
Sweet.
Actually, in Turkey, I never eat that much, like, you know, snacks or things, but over here, this is normal. I mean, I was 100 pounds when I come here. Now I'm 120, and my mom couldn't believe it. She was just like, how did you do this? I'm just like, Mom, I don't know. It's just, this is America. And then that's why my first family, I was just like, I gained too much weight. And they were just like, Johnson, this is America. I'm just like, woo, but this is a problem.
So what's your favorite fattening food? Pizza?
Taco Jones. Actually, it's not 100% American, but it was like Mexican food. It's really good.
Oh, interesting. So again, if we come to your country, what would you feed us?
Good food. I don't know. Like, my favorite food was Turkish ravioli. It has like beef, meat in ravioli. If you try to think about it, something like that. Grandmama makes homemade ravioli. That's probably what I miss, and you should eat that too.
They have good bread. Every country
Yes.
has really good bread.
Yes, this is one of the things that I noticed in Turkey, because we have bread twice a day. I mean, fresh bread, like coming from the oven bread. I never think that I will miss that, but I really did. I missed that.
Interesting.
It was a good bread, I think.
So is the United States different than what you imagined?
Sort of. Like, I know that Fairfield is not a typical small town. I pretty much understand it, because I compare with the other exchange students. I'm not in a typical small town. I'm in a special place. That's what I understand. Like, with all these art walks, little coffee shops, and different cultures, and this is a different place. That's what I know. But when you're away, when you never see America, everybody thinks that America is equal to Hollywood movies. That seems like that. That's it. But and I already visit New York and Washington D.C., all the East Coast stuff. But they are not real America too. They are like a part of America, but they're not. And then I'm in Iowa. Okay, it's middle of America, but I'm not in a typical Iowa town either. So it seriously wasn't what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a different place. That's what I know. But America is. Everyone thinks, like, I explain it like that. When I said, someone, what are you going to do next year? I'm going to America. Wow, parties all the time. No, it's not. Because they don't understand it. They don't get it, that it's movies. It's not real, but that's what they seem.
Yeah.
But that's what it seems. It's like Hollywood movies all the time.
Yeah. So you have done a little bit of traveling while you're here. Where else have you gone while you were here? I think you went to Chicago?
St. Louis, yeah, I went to Chicago. It was one of my best time ever. Because my best friend made me a surprise and come to Chicago. And there was a Turkish reception, in the Turkish embassy, consulate, there was a reception. So it was just like, it was a good Chicago day. And then I meet my other exchange friends in Chicago while the Thanksgiving that we went with my house family. I went to St. Louis, nearly all Iowa.
Did you go up in the Arch in St. Louis?
Yes. And I went to Minneapolis. I'll hopefully go to Pennsylvania next week.
With your host family?
Yes.
Good.
And maybe New York again. I don't know.
Is there anything specific like you would like to tell the citizens of Fairfield?
I think you're living in a special town. I mean, I never think, like, I don't know any other exchange talking about to go back again, but I probably need to come back here again for another breathing time in my life, because I seriously found so much things about myself. That's what I told my mom and my dad too in Turkey. I probably come here again to just like forget everything and anything in my life, to just live in a like peaceful place, because that's what I found in Fairfield. In Ankara or in Istanbul or in Chicago, nobody ever look at your eyes and say hi. But over here, when you're walking and on the street, just briefly, it's hi, and then you say, I'm a person. Hi, thank you. These kind of things are not, such things happen in big towns, big cities. But over here, it's such a small, such a good community. I don't know. I never think about it. I gonna love a small town. I never lived in a small town, but over here, there's something special. I don't know.
That's very sweet. It's very heartwarming.
That's what I think.
Now, do the big cities that you've been to, Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, do they feel like Istanbul or Ankara?
Yeah.
Similar.
Just rushing all the time. Like, which was funny. I always lived in Ankara, which there was always traffic jam. In Fairfield, there's no traffic jam. And then we went to St. Louis, and I was just like, there is something bothering me. I don't know. I don't like something over here. It was traffic jam, and I would live in Istanbul. Maybe you heard about it. Just Istanbul equal to traffic jam. It's like these kind of things. I get used to this city. I starting getting someone from Fairfield, but now I'm living. And it's small town. It's a good thing maybe, but for a little while for me, not for all the time, but I like to be there.
So someday would you like to live in a smaller town for a longer period of time? No.
Just a little bit. It was perfect. This timing was perfect because I like to live in a big city, but over here I found that sometime you need a little pause button in your life. Just take a
Some
break
breathing
and then go
room.
back to real life. Just all this rushing and running things, but it was a good break for me. This one was a perfect one, I think.
Is there specific things that you'd like to, other specific things you'd like to share about your stay here?
I don't think so. It was
Okay.
it was a good time in my life.
And any other things that we should know about Turkey if we want to go visit there? Do we bring our swimming suits or our winter
You
coats?
have to.
We need to bring both. Your weather is similar to ours?
Yes, it's not that. It is cold, but we don't have that much wind, which I'm happy that we don't have that much wind. Seriously, I don't like wind.
So it was pretty cold here this winter for you.
Yes, it's not, the cold is the same, but the wind is. It was awful.
Yeah. And what about the heat?
Pretty much same.
Same.
It's same. If you come to Turkey, like, I think the best thing to do is just take a blue tour. Contact me if you want to about it, because I done it. It's just one of the best things to do. With a boat, about like 15, 16 person in the same boat. Just make a, you're on the boat. And I don't like fish personally, but the people who like fish do fishing and eat fish on the boat. Just make your own food and then visit all the coasts in Turkey. It takes 10 days or 2 months. It's up to you, but it's the best kind of, I think, visit to Turkey, all the coasts, because there are a lot of good places to visit. And there's a important Roman and Hellenistic culture in Turkey, and it's like, if you come to Turkey, you need to see Istanbul. This is the most important one, and then Ephesus.
Great.
These are two like most important places if you come to Turkey. You
Some
need to
great
visit.
travel tips there, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
And blue tour.
And obviously you have industry and people who farm and those kinds of things. What kind of crops are grown in Turkey? Probably the farmers around this area want to know.
Actually, it's pretty much same as Iowa. We have corns and wheat and oat. It's pretty much same. We have a big cotton industry. Actually, 37% of the Turkish in exports is about cotton industry, which is south of Turkey is so important about cotton.
What about some of the crafts or artwork and that kind of thing? Are there things that are specific to Turkey?
Yeah, we have like chini that we call the chini plates, that handmade plate dressings are so famous. The Turkish silk carpets are so famous in Europe. I don't know, did you ever heard of them? But they are pretty much famous. We're third place in pottery in Europe, which is quite important in Turkey, pottery.
What about natural resources like minerals? Like in Africa you find diamonds, and in Canada you find diamonds, and
Bore minerals.
Brazil you find emeralds, and or
Oil.
Colombia.
We don't have oil. We don't have gas. I'm pretty much sure about that one. Bore minerals on iron are one of the most important ones. That's
Very
what I know.
interesting.
I'm not a very technical person,
Yeah.
but
Well, I ran out of questions, so I'm trying to pull some out of my hat here. Is there anything else that we want to that you want to ask?
I was in the post office one afternoon last week, and it looked like Hollywood. There was a movie shoot going on. And do you want to tell us? Obviously, you found a course or something.
yeah, Linda Stallone, she arranged me for a week in MUM in a video production class. So actually, it wasn't something that we planned. It just happened on Wednesday that you want to be in the movie. We need a blind girl. And I was just like, sure. And I became the blind girl in the movie, and we had to stop 3 times because people thought that I was real blind and tried to help me, which was kind of which was kind of funny situation too. But it was because of that they were filming a movie for their class, and I was just helping for that.
Well, that's
This is-
interesting.
But this is parallel to what you hope to do,
Yes.
right?
I don't want to be in the movie. I want to be behind the scenes. I want to just say cut and do this. I don't want to be in the movie. I really don't want to be.
You don't want to be the actress. You want to be the person behind the camera bossing everybody around. Is that right?
I don't want to. I've done like play stuff a lot in high school. I went to many festivals, theater festivals in Europe, in Italy, and France. But I said I'm done for a little while. I just want to be in the editing part because this is better for me. That's what I guess.
Well, we wish you tremendous success when you go back
Thank you
and
very
enjoy
much.
your college years and after that. And I know that you've just been a delight at the Rotary Club, and I haven't spoken to your other host families, but I know Linda just thinks you're a peach.
Thank you.
So we appreciate you coming by this afternoon and
Thank you very much
sharing
for
some of your thoughts with Fairfield, and we're glad that you've enjoyed your stay here. And it sounds to me, Dave, that Fairfield's been a pretty good host and been
Well, and we're awfully glad to have such a good student for an exchange. Obviously, you don't have to draw too much out of her. She will talk and explain things about her country, and that's what's, the word exchange is in there. We assume each side will learn something, and I'm glad that our chapter our club has always been active in. It's rare when we don't have an inbound or an outbound student, and it's not good when we don't, because you can see how much there is to learn.
It's a great program for everyone, seriously. Like, I found so many things in my life. I learned a lot. There's, like, you have a year to learning. And I think I did a good job.
I think you did. I think you did.
Well, again, thank you very much for coming, and we're glad you came. And
Glad that I'm here.
we hope that maybe someday we can come and see you, or that you'll come back and visit us. Okay?
All right.
So, great. Thanks a lot, Johnson.
Thank you.
And thanks, Dave, for coming in today also.
Appreciate it.
Say fade out.
I think it's probably in the back of the mind of every Rotarian to someday do something special to make a difference in people's lives.
It really makes you sit back and take stock of the opportunities that you have for yourself.
The real strength of this project has been the involvement of the local people.
Rotary clubs and districts around the world work hand in hand with international volunteers to develop and implement community projects. Sharing their knowledge and expertise, they enrich the lives of everyone involved. The rewards of this interaction are profound. Poverty brings with it the inability to obtain adequate nutrition, medical care, and education. Led by project coordinator Lorenzo Veneracion, Manila Rotarians confronted these challenges by securing funds for the construction of a 5-story community center.
Our purpose here is to train people so that they can stand on their own 2 feet, to provide a quality education to these children of the poorest of the poor.
The successful operation of the center, which houses a food bank and soup kitchen, a healthcare clinic, as well as literacy and training centers, has been made possible through the efforts of local Rotarians, the community, and international volunteers who have been invited to share their skills and expertise. The Rotary Volunteers International Site List publishes the volunteer needs of such Rotary-sponsored community service projects.
So I searched through the internet and through the Rotary Volunteer Site List, I found this project in Philippines, and I emailed the judge, and he was very warmly encouraging me to come over.
Hyun Ho has taught languages and computer skills at the center, and volunteer Jill Savell has offered her expertise in health and nutrition.
I've not only been working as a registered nurse, helping with the health of the children in the health clinic, but also training the kitchen staff on safe food handling techniques. We've written a procedure manual that they will all be familiar with, so that when we return home, I have every confidence that those procedures that we've put in place will remain in place.
For more than 800 children every day, this center and its volunteers offer hope and the opportunity for a better life.
We are trying to encourage Rotarians, Rotary clubs, and districts all over the world to do similar projects.
A child in a developing country faces many challenges. So much more so when that child has a disability. In India, the small Rotary Club of Kunam Kulam has taken on a huge project, providing comprehensive services for disabled children in their village and outlying areas. They invited Rotary volunteer Jim Colvin to assist with their endeavor.
I was asked to come and help them, and it's such an honor to be here doing that.
For 4 weeks, Jim worked with the children at the Tropical Health Foundation.
Rotary makes it very easy and helps us to do this.
He also helped obtain funds to buy land and construct a building, as well as matching grants for the purchase of a computer and van. But while the material progress was impressive, it was the personal link between a visiting volunteer and local Rotarians working hand in hand to make life better for people in need that ultimately meant the most.
And we forget sometimes that the most important thing in life is not the accumulation of things, but touching people's lives. I urge all Rotarians to, whatever you do, make a difference in somebody's life each and every day.
We had in the peninsula of Santa Elena a cholera outbreak. We didn't know what to do. By luck, we have the visit of Ted Zacher.
I heard the Rotarians talking about the tremendous needs in these villages. They had had a volunteer medical unit going around to these villages, and they said, we would go to the same village 6 months later and find the same patients with the same intestinal diseases.
They realized that addressing the issue with treatment wasn't the answer, that they needed to prevent the diseases. So when Ted Zacher returned to Oregon, he discussed it with his Rotary Club.
The Rotary Club of Santa Elena, Ecuador, joined together with Rotarians from Roseburg, Oregon, to confront these serious health issues.
Problem was the quality of the water. All the diseases were waterborne. So we made what I call a recipe for attacking these cholera outbreak, and that was having good water, the use of latrines, that they didn't have any latrines at all, to do some managing of garbage, and the results were amazing.
With the help of Public Health International, each town designated a health educator to increase public awareness. The people then organized themselves into water, health, and garbage management committees.
Our basic goal is to create a preventive health system with participation, real participation of the communities and the people.
So the basic health infrastructure has been created in these villages, and we're very happy about that.
When I see those little faces of those kids, that they're all alive thanks to this project, thanks to these wonderful friends, we have been able to save thousands of lives. And we still are saving thousands of lives because we keep this project alive.
Computer.
I'd never been outside of Seattle. Never even thought about being a volunteer.
Until the Rotary Club gave me an opportunity.
At our high school here in Seattle, Rotary Club supports a program called Computers for the World.
We rebuild older computers and then personally take them to places where people can't afford them.
We've taken computers to Mozambique,
Lima, Mexico,
and in my hometown in Russia.
It's a big effort and everybody contributes. The students, the teachers, and the Rotary volunteers. We get real-world experience that we need to be successful. I've learned so much just by volunteering.
Computers for the World is one of many Rotary programs that rely upon volunteers of all ages from the community.
It's my way of making a positive impact on the lives of others.
It's a great example of the power of volunteerism.
You should volunteer. The world is counting on you.